This video will provide an overview of the forms and procedures for getting a waiver of the filing fees and costs for your appeal. Appealing a case on your own can be challenging. The Minnesota State Law Library has prepared a guide of appellate resources to help you with the process. You can find this guide at the website on the screen or in the video description. When you file a case with a court, you usually have to pay a filing fee to the court. The filing fee for the Minnesota Court of Appeals is $550. If you can't afford to pay the filing fee, you can ask the court for a fee waiver. You might also hear this referred to as proceeding in forma pauperis or an IFP. There are certain types of cases that do not require a filing fee. These are civil commitment proceedings, public assistance appeals, unemployment benefit appeals, and appeals from a ruling on a petition for post-conviction relief. If you are appealing one of these case types, there is no filing fee, so you do not need to worry about getting a fee waiver. You may have been granted a fee waiver in the trial court during the earlier stages of your case. This fee waiver won't cover your appeal. Even if you got a fee waiver in the district court, you still have to ask for a new fee waiver for your appeal if you can't pay the filing fee. The fee waiver application for a Court of Appeals case asks for the same types of information you already provided in the district court, so it should be relatively easy to complete these forms. Under Minnesota Statute 563.01 and Appellate Rule 109, there are 4 ways you can qualify to have the court waive your fees. Number 1, you receive public assistance from a program like MFIP, General Assistance, Medical Assistance, SSI, or food stamps. Or, number 2, you are represented by a legal aid lawyer based on financial need. Or, number 3, your annual family income is less than 125% of the federal poverty guidelines for your family size. Or, number 4, you do not earn enough money to pay for necessities for yourself and your family and also pay for court fees and costs. The judge only has to find that one of these situations applies to grant you a fee waiver. Under Minnesota Statute 563.01, the judge also has to make a determination that your appeal is not frivolous. To prove this, you will also need to provide a copy of your statement of the case when you ask for a fee waiver. You can find this form on the State Law Library's Appeals Guide or on the Clerk of Appellate Court's website. There are different procedures for getting a fee waiver depending on the type of case you want to appeal. If you have a criminal case, you will need to apply to the appellate public defender to see if you are eligible for a fee waiver. Even if the appellate public defender does not end up representing you, they will make the determination of whether you can afford the filing fee. If you want to appeal a decision of an agency, the agency that heard your case will decide whether you are eligible for a fee waiver. Each agency may have their own procedures or forms for this. You should read the documents you received from the agency or contact the agency for more information about how to get a fee waiver for your appeal. They may allow you to submit the same forms packet used for an appeal from district court. The rest of this video will cover the forms and procedures for getting a fee waiver when you want to appeal a civil case from the district court. The Minnesota Judicial Branch publishes a forms packet, Fee Waiver for Court of Appeals. This forms packet is available on the court's website and on the State Law Library Appeals Guide. The packet includes instructions for asking for a fee waiver and the motion and affidavit for fee waiver in the Court of Appeals. This form was recently updated, and you may have seen a different version of it. If you have an older version of the form, you should download the current one. It would be helpful if you have a copy of this form to look at as we review each question. The motion and affidavit for fee waiver in the Court of Appeals is a short form that tells the court why you are eligible to have the filing fees and costs waived. Let's start at the top of the form with information about your court case, also known as the case caption. At the top left, write the name of the county where your case is taking place and fill in the judicial district. At the top right, fill in your district court file number and the case type. You can find the county, district, and file number on the first page of the documents that were filed in your district court case. Many documents will also have the case type on the first page as well. Below that, fill in the names of the plaintiff and defendant as they appear on documents filed in your district court case. These might also be listed as petitioner and respondent, depending on the case type. You should fill these in exactly the same way as they appear on documents in your district court case. Now let's move on to the motion and affidavit questions. Question 1 asks you to confirm that you have valid reasons for filing an appeal. It also asks you what fees you want the court to waive. Check the first box if you want the court to waive the $550 filing fee. Check the second box if you want the court to waive costs for preparing a transcript for your appeal. There is also a checkbox for Other if there are other costs that you want to ask the court to waive for you. You will need to be specific about what those costs are. For question 1, you can check multiple boxes if there are multiple types of fees and costs you want the court to waive. Question 2 asks you to confirm that you have a good faith reason to ask for the fee waiver. You also have to confirm that you have attached a copy of the statement of the case for your appeal. The statement of the case is beyond the scope of this video, but you can find a link to the form and videos explaining how to complete this form for civil cases and eviction cases on our appeals guide. Question 3 asks whether you are receiving public assistance. If you are not receiving any kind of public assistance, you can skip this question. If you receive public assistance, check the box next to number 3 and also check the box next to the type of assistance you receive. The court will need to see proof of the type of assistance you get, so think about having your documentation ready to go. You can prove that you receive public assistance by providing copies of an EBT card, statement of benefits, benefits award letter, a canceled check from the agency, or other documentation proving you get benefits. Question 4 asks whether you are represented by a legal aid lawyer. If you are not represented by a lawyer from a legal aid organization, you can skip this question. If you have a legal aid lawyer, check the box and fill in their details in the spaces provided. Question 5 asks for information about how many people are in your household. Your household includes you, your spouse, if you have one, your children who live with you and are under age 18, or over age 18 but still in high school, and any other dependents living with you. If you are the only member of your household, write the number 1 on the blank. If your household includes a spouse, children, and dependents, write the number of people in your household on the blank. Be sure to include yourself in the total. In the grid provided, write down the names, ages, and relationships for your spouse, children, and dependents. Questions 6 through 9 ask about your and your family's income. Question 6 asks about your annual family income to see if your family's income is below 125% of the poverty guidelines. Write your yearly family income on the first blank in question 6. Use your base income before any deductions for taxes or other expenses are taken out. Next, you need to specify if your income is more or less than 125% of the federal poverty line. To find out if your income is below the poverty line for your household size is calculated in question 5. Look at the table on page 2 of the instructions for requesting a fee waiver. If your income is less than 125% of the federal poverty line, check the first box and fill in the blank with your household size as calculated in question 5. If your income is more than 125% of the federal poverty line, check the second box and fill in the blank with your household size as calculated in question 5. You will need to provide proof of your income to the court. You can prove your income using documents like copies of your most recent tax return, your most recent pay stubs, and the pay stubs of any household members that also work. Moving on to page 3, question 7 asks how you earn your income, such as through a job, unemployment, Social Security, etc. Check the box next to each of the sources of income you have. Next, you will provide your monthly income before taxes and deductions are taken out. If you receive income from a job, you can calculate your monthly income using the instructions on the form. If your income changes from month to month as a result of seasonal or other irregular work, you can provide your average monthly income instead by checking the box next to My Average Monthly Income. Instructions for calculating your average monthly income are provided on the form. Question 8 asks about your spouse's income. If you are not married, check the box for I am not married and skip to question 9. If you are married, check the box that matches your marital status. Next, write down how much your spouse makes each month before taxes are taken out in the first blank. In the second blank, write down how they earn their money. For example, from a job, spousal support, or some kind of assistance. If you do not know your spouse's income and you can't get that information, fill in the last blank of question 8 with an explanation. Question 9 asks whether your dependents have any income. If you do not have any dependents, or if your dependents do not earn any income, check the first box and skip to question 10. If any other members of your household are earning money, check the second box and write down their name, age, and how much money they get in their paycheck each month, and the source of the income in the grid at the top of page 4. Questions 10 through 13 ask about your financial situation more generally. Question 10 asks about your monthly expenses. In each blank, write down how much you pay for yourself, your spouse, your minor children, and any other dependents in your home. If you do not have an expense for one of these categories, write $0. Question 11 asks how much money you have on hand. In the first blank, write down how much money you have in cash. If you do not have any cash, write $0. In the second blank, write down how much money you have in accounts, including your checking, savings, credit union, or other type of account. If you do not have any accounts, write $0. Question 12 asks about the items you own, including any cars, trucks, other vehicles, your home, real estate, and valuable personal property. If you own any vehicles, write down the year and make on the first blank, and then write the equity value of the item on the second blank. The equity value is the amount of money you could sell the car for, minus any unpaid amounts on a loan. If you own a home, write down the equity value of the house on the corresponding blank. Do the same on the next line if you own other real estate. Finally, list any valuable personal property you own. This could include things like stocks, bonds, jewelry, or other valuable items not mentioned above. On the first blank, write a description of the item, and on the second blank, write the value of the item. Question 13 asks about your debt. Write down the total amount of debt you have on the blank, but do not include any car loans, real estate loans, or mortgages, since these items were covered in earlier questions. Question 14 gives you space to provide any other financial details that explain why you are not able to afford the filing fee. This could include things like unusual medical expenses, recent financial emergencies, student loans, not being able to access accounts, or any other details that will help the judge understand your financial situation. At the bottom of the form, you need to sign and date to confirm that everything you wrote in your affidavit is true. Write the county and state where you signed the form on the corresponding blanks. Remember, you are signing this form under penalty of perjury, so now is a good time to double-check that the information you provided is accurate. Next, write your name, complete address, phone number, and email address. This is how the court will contact you if they have questions about your fee waiver request, so make sure to complete this section fully. Remember to attach proof of your income and any public assistance you receive to this form. You can also include copies of bills, statements showing your expenses, and other financial documentation that support your request. If you do not provide this information to the judge may deny your request for a fee waiver. Once you have filled out your fee waiver form, You are ready to file the form. Even though you are asking for a fee waiver for the Court of Appeals, you will need to file your fee waiver request with the district court in the county where your case was decided. Be sure to include your completed motion and affidavit for fee waiver, your proof of income, and a copy of your statement of the case. It is a good idea to make a copy of your documents to keep for your own records. Next, the judge will consider your request and make a decision. The judge will sign an order either granting or denying your request. If the judge grants your request, your next step is to file a copy of the order granting the fee waiver with the Court of Appeals. You are then ready to proceed with your appeal. If the judge denies your request, you can either pay the filing fee and proceed with your appeal, or serve and file a motion in the Court of Appeals for review of the trial court's order denying the fee waiver. You can visit the State Law Library's Appeals Guide or contact the State Law Library for information about filing a motion in the Court of Appeals. Thank you for watching this video. Remember, you can always contact the Minnesota State Law Library with questions by emailing askalibrarian@courts.state.mn.us or by phone at 651-297-7651.